Hello and welcome to you guys. It's Moen again. Last session we learned a lot about HTMLs and it was very good. In this session we will finish HTML because next session we're gonna take a look at CSS, and after that we have a project just to train and prepare for real world projects. So let's come back and take a look at our codes. We wrote many lines. Now we can't read our codes really, it's kinda complicated. We should make some groups for our codes. So how we can do this? Let me show you. Here I will go and write div just like this, and then I press tab. Then I have a group here. It doesn't mean anything. It's not doing anything really. It's just for making group. And then I will put these things on it. Let me just send them inside of that one. The only thing is inside of this one is that h1. Let's just make it back, and we will send them inside of that div. So just select these parts and press the tab. Now these are inside of div. Very good. This way at least we know that we have a group for them. But what is the name for them? Just make a space, type class, and type first session. So cool. And then come here, make another one, div, and we will put all of these things inside of it. Yeah, here we go, we got it. And we have to make a name for this part too, just like that one. We call it to second session. Okay, let's just change it. Yeah, it really looks cooler right now. Now we know that we have parts and we can find them by names. Just imagine if you write something like 100 or 200 of code, 200 lines of code, and you didn't take a look at them for 3 months. If you come back and try to read that, when there is no class, you won't understand what happened there. Really, you will be confused. But if you make classes, at least you know the name. You can see what's happening here. And hopefully you don't get confused. And there is something after that. Let me close these things. Yeah. And there is another thing. We can give each one of these things an ID. Just like this. It's completely like the class. For example, it's first title, and this one is our first context or paragraph. You can call it by anything you like. And this one is our second title. Let's just copy this thing. It looks easier really. And go for this one. Yeah. don't forget to make the space between p and id, and then we change it to second context. It is how it happens. And there's a reason for doing these things. Why we should do this? First one, code should be readable. Second one, we're gonna make many rules for these things. You know, let's come back to this part. For example, I wanna tell this part to go to the middle of the page, or this logo should be somewhere like this corner, or any of them needed some rules and specific rules. You know, I can tell all of them to be like in the corner. You know, it will be so funny. You know, it won't happen. And if I want to make a rule for each one, I have to give an ID or a class. Class is mostly used for groups, for making groups with div, and you can give the class to something specific. You know, you can type the class here inside, except this ID, but it is how programmers use that. There's no rule, but you can do anything you want, and it's better to make them like this: class inside of div, and the ID for anything you like to have a specific rule or something like this. So whenever you learn something about CSS, you will understand what I say. It will be very, very important to make good classes and good IDs for your project. And there's another tip that you should know. Never name a class to something like X. You know what's happening here by now, but you will forget everything. You know, it's completely wrong. Just name it by a name that you understand and gives you some guidelines or something like that. Okay, guys. We didn't do anything this session, but next session you will see what's going on with these classes and IDs. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. See you guys.